everyone! Thank you so much for watching the Multicultural's channel Community Hour. My name is Fernanda Vallejo, and today we're going to discuss about the CancerCare Manitoba Foundation. They give support to those struggling with cancer and blood disorders. Today we're stepping into the realm of the CancerCare Manitoba Foundation, an organization dedicated to making lives brighter, families stronger, and futures brimming with possibilities. Let's welcome our special guest, Cheryl Kwan. She's the Development Manager of CancerCare Manitoba Foundation. Welcome, Cheryl. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Okay, so let's start. Let's begin. Can you tell us about the incredible impact that CancerCare Manitoba Foundation has on patients and their families here in Manitoba?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we absolutely have the privilege of working for CancerCare Manitoba as the foundation. We exclusively raise funds that stay right here in Manitoba. So anyone that is touched by cancer here in this province will be treated at CancerCare Manitoba. They oversee cancer control for this province, as you mentioned, for those touched by any type of cancer and blood disorders. So we align ourselves with their strategic priorities so we can support their greatest needs, and we do that only through the support of amazing donors. And so really we can't take the credit. It's our donors who make the difference, and we are just privileged to be a conduit and a steward of their funds.
I'm really glad to hear that you are having donors and they are cooperating with this foundation. My second question is, CancerCare Manitoba vision is a world free of cancer. Could you explain how the foundation aligns with this vision and contributes to CACTUS goals?
Yes, and so, I always say as a fundraiser, I look forward to a day where I can maybe work myself out of a job, right? Meaning that cancer is cured and there's no need for donations. So that's where CancerCare says we want a world free of cancer. And one of the ways that we will find the solutions to some of these horrible diseases is through research and through clinical trials. And so that is a primary focus at the foundation in an area that we fund through donor support for the Research Institute and clinical trials, because when you're able to take research today and make it tomorrow's treatment, you have better outcomes and hopefully a world free of cancer.
As the manager of community events, how do you engage the community and raise awareness about CancerCare Manitoba Foundation's mission?
Yes, so we are out in the community quite a bit. So we have what we call signature events. So those are some of the events that we host that people can get involved with, things like Challenge for Life or Ride Inside. We also have some galas, like our Guardian Angel benefit, that people can come and be part of and attend. Or we also have something called Fundraise Your Way. And so I work with a lot of people that find creative ways and they give their passion a purpose to fundraise in support of CancerCare Manitoba Foundation. So golf tournaments to barbecues to Battle of the Bands and coffee houses, lots of school engagement. So really, we always say the sky's the limit. If you have an idea and you want to get involved to make a difference through fundraising, we're here to help you. And so it's really a privilege to hear people's creative ideas and support them with that.
Okay, that's good to hear. I hope more people get engaged with this foundation. Yeah, this CancerCare Manitoba is really important for me. Okay. Now, the foundation has been able to grant more than $177 million since 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you share some heartwarming stories that highlight how these funds have impacted patients' outcomes?
The different outcomes that happen for so many people. The reality is that 2 in 5 people will be diagnosed with cancer in this country, and on average, that's close to 19 Manitobans a day. So when you think about that, everyone is probably touched by cancer in some way, whether it's someone you know and love or if it's you yourself. And so when we think about that large number, and $177 million is truly a phenomenal. What that's been able to do is it's been invested right back into Manitoba, making sure that we have these research platforms, that we have things like the clinical trials I mentioned. When you have a cancer center that also has research connected to it, we have the ability here in Manitoba to attract some of the best and brightest minds, and we want them to work in Manitoba, right? For you and I and our loved ones, we want to make sure that there are people here that want to invest in understanding cancer and the leading cutting edge ways to treat it. And so we're really lucky that a lot of those funds get invested into things like research. Clinical trials is fascinating in that really it's discovering the newest treatments right now. And when a patient is exposed to clinical trials, it can give them another opportunity to beat their cancer. So I often think of this story of a man who, was diagnosed with cancer, and he didn't really have a ton of outcomes, but his successful outcomes kind of given to him with his diagnosis. But at that time, there was a clinical trial, so that meant there was a new kind of treatment for the type of cancer that he had. And so him and his oncologist were able to get him enrolled in a clinical trial. And he just said his goal was to one day walk his daughter down the aisle. And so he got to do that. And when I think about why we want to donate and why it's important to invest into local cancer, I think of that situation where not everybody gets there tomorrow, right? Cancer is devastating, but there is hope. And so I think of that gentleman, and I think of many others who, even though maybe they have lost a loved one, they've also invested back into cancer care because they don't want others to go through something similar. I think of a young girl who is a teenager, and she saw a need. When a teenager gets cancer, it's very different than when you're a very young child or you're an adult. Your needs are just so different. And so she saw a need where, the kids are being treated, but she's kind of like, I don't need baby toys, but I'm also not an adult. And she really championed the way to make sure there was a safe place for teens living with cancer. And that over the years has really evolved into what now is a whole AYA program. So adults and young adults who are being treated with not just the healthcare side of things through your appointments with your oncologist, but the mental and emotional toll that cancer can take on you. And so I could probably sit here all afternoon and talk about some of the ways donors have been able to invest in programs like this. But I think those are the heartwarming stories that I love hearing, is the opportunities not only for people who got their tomorrows, but the people who really want to see better outcomes for all people, even if they've been negatively impacted by cancer.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Being the only charitable organization exclusively fundraising for CancerCare Manitoba Foundation, you're a part. How does this focus, dedicated, and power to the foundation to make a difference?
I think what's really a special privilege, again, is that because we only exclusively fundraise for CancerCare, it's them who tells us what the priorities are. So each year, it's CancerCare saying, this is where the government funding stops, right? We are lucky that, people don't have to worry about where the treatment is going to come from. Mm-hmm. But there are, like I mentioned, a real toll on your mental and emotional health, and different support programs people, really will thrive with and from when they're given. But that is in large part to donor funding. That's when donors, the CancerCare can come and say, okay, this year we need X million dollars to make sure that these programs can run, that these clinical trials can happen. And so we say, okay, we're going to get out there and we're going to fundraise, and we're going to approach the community, and we're going to engage with donors. And so it's really our donors who we praise, because they're the ones who make that happen. And it's so, I think that's the real special privilege of we aren't deciding how this money needs to be spent as a foundation. CancerCare gets to tell us, like, this is the most important need here in Manitoba, and we get the honor of raising funds for it.
Yeah. Not everything is government funded.
Not everything's government funded. It's true. And I don't know that everyone really always say CancerCare is the last place you want to know anything about, right? And so once you do understand where CancerCare is and how cancer care is handled here in Manitoba, you're incredibly grateful for it. There's amazing doctors and nurses and just health professionals that work in our healthcare system with cancer control. But it is something that, until you're maybe forced to learn about it, I understand why would you want to. But I want to invest in more tomorrows and in the future so that that number of 2 and 5 keeps changing. Because hope really has happened over the decades with investment in research. We look at things like breast cancer. Well, the success rate of a woman being diagnosed with breast cancer, still incredibly scary and very difficult to go through. Outcomes are so much more positive than they were because we know more now than we did then.
Yeah, and learning more about what the foundation is doing is great because, as you mentioned before, when we hear about the CancerCare Manitoba and we receive the letter saying CancerCare Manitoba, we all get scared.
Yeah.
What's this about? I just lost a family member, for example. Is something happening with me? We get scared. I understand, but it's good information, the one that you are providing me today. Can you give us a glimpse into the kinds of programs or initiatives that donor contribution specifically support within CancerCare Manitoba?
Sure. I think when we think about sort of where do the funds go? So if you make a donation to CancerCare, how is that going to be used? And so like I mentioned, government funding stops and that's where donor support comes. And so I think of areas like the Breast and Gynae Cancer Center of Hope, which when women are diagnosed with cancers, they can reach out and there's nurses that will help them understand what to expect and help them navigate some of the treatments and maybe surgeries that they'll be having. There's different support programs that people can get engaged with. I think so much research is being done also into the world of not just the physical treatment, which is fascinating when you start to really, I know very little on the medical side, but things like genomics and single cell technology and immunotherapies. And so the future is incredibly bright. And so just if you could just peel back and understand sort of, okay, we say a research institute, but like, what does that mean? What kind of research is happening that my donor dollars might support? And, with amazing investment into CancerCare Manitoba, we've been able to get different machines and different things that our researchers can work with that aren't only just supporting Manitoba, but they're collaborating with other oncologists and researchers around the world. And so sometimes people can think, it's Winnipeg, it's Manitoba, and we're smaller, but we're part of a global effort to really see that cancer is eradicated. And so a world free of cancer can happen when we work together. And that's where I think you get a little glimpse of how donors, when they support locally what's happening, they're investing really in their own future.
Can you give us a glimpse into the kinds of programs or initiatives that donor contributions specifically supports within CancerCare Manitoba?
Sure. So I think some of the areas that excite me the most where donor funds are directed are areas like research and clinical trials, which I mentioned. And I think when we talk about research, we don't realize that, it's going to take a lot of research. There's over 200 different types of cancer and blood disorders. So when you start to really think about all the areas that need to be researched, and knowing that we have a research platform here in Manitoba that is attracting really brilliant minds, that's not government funded. And so donor investment, when you take a little glimpse into really the difference it's making, it's very large. And so when we can attract and retain the best and brightest minds in the field of cancer research, that's a real benefit to Manitobans, cancer patients, and really the world, because it's a global effort. So when research is happening here and it's going from the bench to the bedside, taking today's discoveries and making them tomorrow's treatments, myself as someone who is a donor, I'm excited about being able to be part of that and getting that kind of a glimpse into understanding that we're lucky to have government funding for treatment, but that I can maybe be part of the solution as a donor, I think is kind of the coolest glimpse into how it's making a difference.
Nice. Now, the goal of preventing lives from being cut short by cancer is powerful. How do you collaborate with the community to create awareness and drive support for this cause?
I think prevention is absolutely key. You know, when CancerCare says it wants a world free of cancer, that starts with prevention. We don't want anyone to get cancer. And so I think Get Checked is a very important program here in Manitoba. Going to getcheckedmanitoba.ca has a lot of valuable information for people. And I think, you know, we need to take those conversations with our doctor seriously. And, you know, if you have a health concern, that you do talk about it. And cancer's scary. Lots of people are scared by it. And CancerCare is not a place anyone wants to go. You know, it's not someone I ever want to see or meet someone in the hallway who's there for an appointment, because why would you want to know about CancerCare? But I will say we're incredibly lucky to have CancerCare Manitoba and for the doctors and the nurses who work here, and that they are dedicated to prevention. You know, they want to see people not get cancer, and that if they have to treat someone, that they have the best possible outcomes, right? And so I think when we as a foundation get to support programs like our team calls it Protect Your Tomorrows, and we're literally out in the community at festivals and fairs and golf tournaments, trying to just educate people on simple things like wear your sunscreen, you know, have an active, healthy lifestyle, you know, like there's certain things that we can all do now to prevent better health in the future. And so that's one of the ways we like to get behind and make sure that people are just aware about taking care of themselves.
That's true. Yeah, most of us, when we hear about CancerCare Manitoba or we received a letter, sometimes we're scared. We don't know what's that about. The mind programs, is something wrong with my health? Right?
Yeah.
But it's really important, yeah. Go for your check, talk to your doctor. Correct. Now I would like to talk a little bit more about the lemonade stands for hope. Okay. Could you tell us more about this initiative and the purpose of this?
Yes, so Lemonade Stands for Hope is an initiative that started back in 2019 and obviously went on hold during the pandemic. So we're very excited that finally this summer we could host our stands again. And so it's really as simple as that. It's hosting a lemonade stand. You register with the foundation. Heading to lemonadeforhope.ca is where you can register. And once you kind of fill out some of the questions, kind of create a stand name, we will have a kit ready for you to pick up at our office. Or if you live further outside the city, we will mail it to you. And once you host your stand, then you submit the funds. And one of the cool things that we offer is even an online donation page. So once you register, you know, maybe some friends and family can't come to your stand that weekend. They're out of town or they want to support you, but they live far away. They can donate directly to your stand online because you have your own donation page.
What inspired the idea of using lemonade stands as a way to fundraise for Manitobans affected by cancer?
Some of us are really creative and people can come up with really great ideas, but some of us, you know, need an idea given to us because we want to do something, but we're just not really sure what that might be. And so lemonade stands are really simple. And we wanted to make it easy on people by getting them started and providing them with the materials they'd need. So we have this little kit because we want it just to be simple for people. And so this was sort of an event in a box that worked well.
Oh, awesome. How does this initiative engage kids, teens, and business in making a positive impact? And how can people get involved to contribute to the cause?
I think, you know, kids inspire me all the time with just their passion to want to help people. And it's been really touching hearing how many families have taken part in Lemonade Stands for Hope this summer and who they are doing it for. Grandparents, parents, aunts and uncles, neighbors. There's a beautiful reason behind every stand and why these people are choosing to do it. And most are very young, you know, little philanthropists. And when I think about that, they're the future. And so our future is hopeful. And there's a lot of kids, I think sometimes they don't really fully understand, you know, what's happening, but they want to do something and they want to help and they want to be part of a solution. And so this is a small way that they can make a difference. And so I think as parents who wouldn't want to support that, or as their loved ones, get behind them and say, okay, we'll host a lemonade stand.
Beautiful. And for viewers who are interested by the work of the CancerCare Manitoba Foundation, how can they get involved or contribute to making a mindful impact?
And I think, you can get involved. I think sometimes people feel like, oh, maybe I don't have thousands of dollars to donate, like that's a reality. But
Right.
maybe you could be a monthly donor who gives $10 a month. We're grateful. We call them champions of discovery because they commit to saying, I can't maybe do a lot at once, but I can do a little bit as I can. And so that's one way to start small, or you can go sky's the limit, really. We say you can fundraise your way and host your own event, or you could come be part of one of the events that we host. Really just head to our website and you see a whole list of ways to give, and there's all sorts of ideas and different ways people can get involved.
Perfect. And what message would you like to convey to potential enthusiastic change makers who are considering joining to this initiative?
Yeah, enthusiastic change makers. That's what we love, right? Is people who just see a problem and they want to do something about it. So I'd want people to never underestimate the power of kindness and the power of helping others. And so I think if you have this little idea and you think, maybe I could try this, and maybe that would help, it probably can. And we have a team that is happy to help people out with some of those ideas. I work closely with people who have fundraising ideas. But yeah, just to never underestimate the power of giving and the power of kindness, because you might think that, I had a lemonade stand and it only raised a little bit, but every little bit contributes to the overall large amount. We don't get to $177 million without doing it $1 at a time. So whatever anyone can give really does make a difference.
Awesome. Now, what kind of message would you like to tell to all the people that are looking at you right now and listening to you? What kind of message do you want to provide them?
If the takeaway from listening to us today would be to get checked. I think, again, prevention is so key. So take your health seriously. And they can be scary conversations, but they really are worth having.
Right.
And so I think that's an important thing when it comes to cancer. But I think also, I hope people are inspired. I hope they feel encouraged that there is hope, that, as scary as cancer can be, we know more today than we did yesterday, right? Every day discoveries are being made. And I understand and appreciate not everyone gets a good outcome. Cancer is still very devastating for many people, but that there's hope for the future. And hopefully younger generations and those to come, I want to invest in my child's tomorrow. And so I get excited about knowing that the future is hopeful.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. So don't forget to go for your check, talk to your doctor. That's really important. I really appreciate that you came today as a guest.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. And thank you for all of you for watching us. Don't forget to follow us on our social media as a Multicultural channel. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, and Twitter. Thank you.